Hill is calling Amy's name.
Judge Gray's going to Washington.
Every child deserves the chance for a good life. My name is Amy Gray.
The season finale of Judging Amy, Tuesday.
By the end of April 1975, the once gigantic American military presence in Vietnam had dwindled to just several dozen U.S. Marine Guards in Saigon and a handful of other U.S. outposts. Although they were surrounded by North Vietnamese troops and panicked South Vietnamese, the exhausted Marines managed to coordinate the largest helicopter rescue ever. That's tonight's Weekend Journal. Reflections on the fall of Saigon 30 years later by the very last Marines to escape Vietnam.
It seems real now. At that point, it was surreal. It was like, this really isn't happening.
There is very little time left to evacuate the remaining Americans from the capital. The final evacuation order could come at any time.
It was scary, and you knew the end was very, very near.
In downtown Saigon, for the last half hour, there's been all sorts of small arms fire. We understand there may be some trouble at the airport.
Rounds were coming in all day long, and every one of them, you thought this was next one's going to have my name on it.
In my mind, it's this guy, we waited too long to make this evacuation, you know. We were actually opening the gates to let people in. But then it got so bad that every time you open up a gate, and the 6 or 8 other people that weren't supposed to leave on the evacuation got in there.
Come on, gents, let's move it.
At last, we just locked the gates.
From then on, we used Big John Gillane and Sweeney to reach over and pick people up out of the crowd.
I'd never seen anything like that. You know, I mean, people just taking, 6-month-old children, 3-year-old children. Didn't matter. It was just take my child. And you're looking and you go, what are we supposed to do?
I was just reaching and grabbing, not really thinking, looking for who I could help, who we could really bring to freedom, who could come home with us.
We ushered them out, put them on the helicopter, and off they went. Then we got the next set ready.
I remember this South Korean gentleman coming up and waving his passport in front of me, and I took the passport and I go, sorry. I threw the passport into the crowd. He just went, oh, no. Because, I mean, that was it, And then the word finally come down, we are allowing South Koreans to come. And I went, oh, jeez.
The sky over Saigon was filled with dozens of assorted aircraft.
If there was a spot that they think their helicopter could land on, they landed. It got to the point that we had so many helicopters aboard the USS Hancock that we had to push helicopters off the fantail, just crashing into the South China Sea.
The Vietnamese that were in the landing zones, they realized that, we were leaving. They started rushing us, and so we barely made it to the door, and we pretty much started, hand-to-hand combat, and pushing them away, and we finally locked ourselves in.
I can remember being in the stairwell and going up and closing the door and looking down and seeing some little old lady holding her hand up like she's praying, like, please let me be the last one.
I felt like I lost the war. And I lived with that for a very, very long time.
Now, years later, you think back, which things kind of haunt you sometimes. You say, how could I leave them there? But ultimately, only God can save the world.
In only 18 hours, the Marines managed to evacuate more than 7,000 people from Saigon. But it did come at a price. 21-year-old Charles McMahon of Massachusetts and 19-year-old Darwin Judge of Iowa were killed in a rocket attack on Saigon's airport. They were the last 2 GIs to die in Vietnam.
Hi, Jay.